All right. So what do you remember from your first time, like actually drinking to the point that you got drunk?
The first time I ever got drunk was actually in college.
Really? It took
Yeah.
that long?
Yeah, it took me that long to actually go and get piss face drunk because I smoked weed for a long time, like, and I still do. Like, I didn't drink
Yeah.
because I didn't need to drink because drinking was fucking like it tasted
So
bad.
that's why I think me and you are opposites, because like I don't get as much fun from smoking as I do drinking. I think can have way more fun drinking like a bottle of vodka than I can do smoking like a fucking couple joints. You know what I mean?
You can get way more retarded.
Yeah, I can't even lie. I've done some really dumb shit when I got drunk.
um, my first time getting pissed drunk though, like just fucking like inebriated to the point where I couldn't walk,
Hmm.
was uh was actually because of the jungle juice of legend. Which,
I've never had jungle juice.
okay, you know what jungle juice is though, right?
Yeah.
It's just you fucking throw
Yeah,
everything.
it's just a fucking concoction of whatever you have on hand and juice.
We had went out and bought the shit for jungle juice in particular.
Okay.
So what we bought was like a 2 liter of Sprite. We bought one of those giant jugs of like fucking Tampico,
Oh.
and and we got Nikolai vodka, which is 95%
Yeah, yeah, no,
alcohol
I
by
know it
volume.
very well.
Yeah, it's stronger than Everclear by
Yeah.
2%, which is fucking insane. We poured that, and then we got some 35% alcohol by volume, like fruit punch shit,
Yeah.
and a couple other things I can't exactly remember. But we poured it all into a giant soup pot because we didn't have anything else,
Jesus Christ.
and everybody was too scared to take the first drink because nobody wanted to take the first drink.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my cup and I dipped it into like our fucking jungle juice concoction,
Yeah.
and I took a sip, and it was that dangerous liquor, that shit that you can't taste the
It
alcohol.
sneaks up on you.
Yeah, no, you can't taste it at all.
Yeah,
It
and
tastes
where it'll
like,
sneak like after like your fourth or fifth drink, it just in the jaw where it just sneaks up on you.
yes.
That's my favorite way to make my drinks, to where it's
Yeah.
there, but you can like you don't know it unless you know you poured it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite type of drink because it just catches up to you all at once, and that's the best part.
But since I couldn't taste it, I chugged my first glass.
Ah, okay, okay.
And then I went back for a second one, and I was sitting outside having a cigarette with my boy McWeenie. And we were.
I still don't believe that's his fucking name.
It's his name, damn it. And we were chilling outside, and we were having a cigarette. And exactly like you said, I was sitting there and I went, and then I looked over the edge and I was like, ah.
That's a long way down.
I was like, shit. I was like, I can't believe I'm so drunk just already. and and okay, so like the floor where we were having our little like get together, the floor consisted of one apartment where my boy McWeenie and his roommate Rick lived,
Alright.
and then if you so set up in like a U shape,
Okay.
and he was sitting at the base of the U to the right hand side.
Okay.
And if you go around, there were people we were friends with, and they were named like Dylan, and we called one dude ASAP because he looked like ASAP.
Okay.
And then if you went next door to the left side of the bottom of the U was our drug dealer and his roommate Drew, who was an alcoholic.
Nice.
And then at the very end, on the other left hand side, was an apartment full of girls, and it was 3 girls. So this whole little apartment floor that we were on, all of us got together and got piss fucking drunk.
So it just turned in from like a little from an apartment party to a floor party.
Yeah, and then at okay, so it got to the point where I was so drunk that I couldn't taste liquor anymore. So
okay.
I took a shot of what's that really nasty shit, Ciroc or some shit like that.
Which
I
well,
don't think
do
it's
you know what kind of liquor it was?
it's vodka. It is a
Vodka?
vodka. But you know how vodkas have that strong taste.
Yeah.
I downed a shot and I couldn't taste it at all.
See, that's where
Tasted
that's
like
where you
water.
start getting that's where it starts getting into dangerous territory when you don't know what you're drinking.
See, but at the time I was depressed, so I was just drinking what people handed me.
Yeah,
And this dude who poured me up the shot was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a shot, man." And like, I take the shot, and I was like, "Bro, that tasted like water."
Mhm.
And he was like, oh, you're at that point.
Yeah.
He was like, here, and handed me the fucking bottle.
Jesus
And he was
Christ.
like, drink until you can't drink anymore. And I took one swig, and it still tasted like water. So I was like, and I fucking drank the entire bottle.
So so with my first time, it was actually really funny because I've gone drinking with friends, way beforehand, but I've never gotten pissed drunk.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't like the idea of me doing something stupid and not remembering it. Well, in this day in particular, I was hanging out with like my favorite group at the time, and I really was trying to spit game at this girl that was there, that was in like our friend group, and she was drinking a ton. I'm like, well, I'm gonna match her, 1-for-1, because that's how we were talking. We were oh, you're drinking a drink? All right, what's up? You got a shot? All right, I got a shot.
Yeah.
So, I got to the point where that night, I believe I almost drowned in the pool. I missed a step. You know how they're like on the ladders when you're going up the ladder above above ground pools? There's that step in the middle.
Yeah.
I missed both steps, and I go straight in between and just go face plant directly into the water, but my foot is caught underneath the step.
Ooh.
And all of my friends are just standing there just like, oh, and I'm just trying to keep my head above water, not drowning. And it was probably the funniest but worst experience I've had in my life because I have a deadly fear of drowning.
Yeah.
But
as most people do.
Yeah, well, after I like regained my senses and I calmed down, I finally got out of the pool and I'm chilling for a minute and I'm just standing there. I remember this part very little bit, like very little. I know I was standing and all of a sudden I do like an L shape, like a straight 90-degree fall. I didn't move, didn't take a step. I'm just standing perfectly straight and all of a sudden I hit the wall and then the floor.
Ooh.
Like my shoulder hit the wall and then I hit the floor. And all I hear is all of my friends go, oh. And then I remember trying to stand up and then fall back into the bushes again.
Oof.
And after that, it was pure blackout. I saw the pictures of me the next morning that I passed out fucking only shorts on in the living room of my friend's house that I was trying to spit game at.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did that help or ruin the chances?
Honestly, at that time, it didn't really do either. But if anything, I think because I didn't start like losing chances until way later on in like our friendship. But like it didn't hurt nor benefit me at all. It was just a really funny story at the time.
Dude, it's prevalent to mention that like the way my story ended was I had to go back home, and at the time I was dorming with the RA of my building, right? So I go to walk back home and it's literally like it's got to be like 100 feet at most, like back to my apartment. But I make it about halfway there down the little walking trail, and then I face planted into the walking trail, and I just laid there for a couple minutes before a very nice couple who was out at 5 o'clock in the morning for a morning jog stopped and was like, "Hey man, you good?" And I was like, "Yeah."
That's what I think I missed out. Like that's what I feel like I missed out the most on about going to university instead of like community college like I did. Is I didn't get the experience of university parties.
Ooh,
because
parties are crazy.
I know that's what I've always heard because I have friends who are in universities right now. But I've always it's really dumb, but I've always wanted to wake up from like a fucking like all night binge drinking fest and wake up in some random part of the campus like, where am I? And like, what happened? And then like make my way back to my dorm.
I've only ever woke up on campus one time. And
I think that's something that like if you truly go to college to like experience life, because you know there's those people who are like, oh, I'm going to college for the experience in life, not the degree. Which I still think is weird.
I mean that's essentially what I did.
I think I think I was more of a 50-50 person. You know.
Yeah.
I go for college and the experience. Like I go for the degree and the experience kind of thing. But I know people go for just the experience. They're like, that's a one-time thing that you always have to experience. You always got to wake up at least once at some random part of the campus that you don't know.
You know where I woke up? In front of the history building. And that night was also the first night I ever tried cocaine.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. So, no, because it gets really fucked because I was drinking super heavily. I had done a tab of acid. And my drug dealer was like being all sneaky. So I was like, hey, what's going on? And he looked around, you know, he moved back and forth, and he was like, "You want to do some cocaine?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Yes, I do want to do some cocaine."
It's so bad to like ask questions while you're drunk because you're gonna be easily persuaded about
You're gonna be like, "Yeah, fuck
everything.
yes."
The number one thing though that no one can convince me when I'm drunk is to not go home. So
Ooh.
I'm very particular. Like I wasn't like this at first. At first, I didn't give a shit. I would fucking pass out at my, you know, I could be drinking at my like worst enemy's house and I would fall asleep there if I wanted to when I first started drinking.
Yeah.
But after like 3 years of drinking, I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm not gonna spend the night at your house. I'm going home. I live like 2 minutes down the road, and like I could be pissed drunk, and I will still drive home. And I've had friends take my keys and hide them, and I will somehow find them again in like 45 minutes.
Oh, of course, because when you're drunk, you got that drunk intellectuality. Like you be fucking piecing together shit like Sherlock Holmes when you're drunk.
I just never understood. They never understood either how I was able to find my keys so fast.
Oh, dude, it's because whenever you're drunk, you're sitting there, right, and you're like, oh, where would they hide? What kind of person is he? And
There was
you're
one
like-
night. There was one night I had it really bad. I couldn't get my keys back because the girl who was there, she's really cool. She's super sweet, really nice girl. Just that night in particular, I didn't like her because I wanted to go home.
Yeah, and she took your
But
keys.
yeah, she took my keys. But not only that, she took a lot of people's keys because she was kind of like the mom of that night.
Okay, so she was like, no.
Yeah,
honey,
she was having a ton of fun.
nothing.
Don't get me wrong. She was having a ton of fun with everybody. But she like was drinking very little and she was making sure everybody was okay,
Yeah,
which
of
is
course.
really cool of her.
Yeah, as a good host.
Yeah, she wasn't even the host. She was
Oh,
a friend
really?
of the host, but they were like sisters. So like they were just
okay,
really
so-
cool.
yeah.
So
she was
what had
doing
happened
that.
was is she took my keys and she laid on them. Like she put them in the room and she was chilling in the room just on the phone and just laying on everybody's keys. And I was like, man, I can't go in there and get them because I'm probably gonna, if I hit that bed, I'm probably gonna knock the fuck out because I've already like almost like 3/4 of a bottle of vodka by myself. Like I was drinking heavily, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way that I can go in there and get them without passing out. So I waited, and I don't even remember how I got them back. All I know is that eventually, to the point that I was back in my car, turning on my car and leaving. And I am an amazing drunk driver that I want to point out. I have only ever been in one accident while driving drunk, and it's only because I reversed into someone's fucking mailbox.
Oh yeah, with the fucking taillight.
Yeah, my tail light's still fucked up. I haven't fixed it yet.
I think my craziest story, like have you ever just outright passed out, like crumpled, passed out?
Yeah, my mom's.
The first time that ever happened to me, I went to I think you actually met her. Her name's Sarah. She's a really lanky white girl. She came over to the apartment one time.
Yeah. That really
tall.
cute girl. Yeah, that
really
cute girl.
tall. Yeah. She's like fucking like supermodel status.
Yeah, you
But
should totally introduce me to her. Yeah,
I will.
Bet.
Because she's one of my college friends, and like
Especially if she's single.
she usually is.
Cool.
But I went over to her place, and it was the end of the year, so McWeenie had dropped out at this point, and he went back home. Our other friends that we hung out with had gone back home as well, because it was the end of the semester, and they'd finished up all their finals, so they went back to home, and home was Houston for a lot of them. Home was El Paso for McWeenie, so he was like gone. But me and Sarah were hanging out, and she invited me to the party. And she was like, you can come over and just drink and relax with me, before we got to leave. Because she lived in Sugarland, so she was going to drive me home.
Okay.
Yeah, which was really nice of her. So I go over to her party, and we're drinking heavily. And, like, there's got to be at least 16 people in her apartment, and, like, 3 of them are her roommates. Well, yeah, we'll just have to ding that out.
Yeah, go ahead.
And 3 of them were her roommates, and the rest were her roommates' friends. She only invited me. And we were hanging out and drinking, but at this time she had broken her arm. So we were drinking.
Wait, hold on, wait. Her arm was already broken before the party, or broke during the party? Okay.
No, before.
Because the way you worded that, I was like, wait a second.
Because it's gonna loop back around. trust me.
Okay.
But she had broken her arm, and she's a really rich white girl from Sugarland.
Okay.
So we were drinking really heavily. We were both down in like a single bottle of Jack Daniels, like the big ones, and we were just drinking it, just us two,
Okay.
just Jack and Dr Pepper. And she goes, "Hey, so you know how I broke my arm? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of hard to forget. It's in a cast. And she was like, well, my doctor prescribed me codeine.
Nice.
Yeah. So she was like, if you would like, I'll pour you up a cup of codeine with some Dr. Pepper, and we'll go hang out and smoke with my neighbors because they're really cool dudes. So I was like, yeah, why not? So she pours me up a cup of codeine, and I'm sitting there and I'm sipping the codeine, and I'm real nice and loose now. Like, I go to stand up, and my legs are jelly, and my arms are weights.
There's such a difference right here between me and you of drug use. Like,
Oh,
in terms
dude,
of
I used a lot of drugs.
I've taken pills here and there. Like back in high school, I smoked, but I mainly drink. Like, you can list most liquors, and I've tried most liquors, but I can tell you have tried majority of like drugs out there, which is really weird to say, and I'm not like endorsing that, but it's still fucking funny.
The only drugs I haven't tried are, of course, like the really bad ones like crack, meth, heroin, you know, the big fucking mean ones.
Well, all drugs are bad in a sense, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
one of those things.
But she was like, come on, you're from Houston. We'll drink some codeine. We'll smoke some weed. We'll relax. So I go over to her neighbor's house, right? And we're chilling. And don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there smoking with her buddies, and everything is cool. Last 5 minutes we're there. Sarah stands up and she's like, oh, well, we should get back to the party. You guys can come over if you want, but, you know, that's my house. I got people over. Like, I should not be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, bet. And I stand up. And I get, like, the sickest migraine I've ever had. Like, my vision starts to tunnel. My head feels like somebody just slammed a sledgehammer into it. And, like, these people can instantly tell that something's up with me. They're like, hey, are you all right, dude? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. And I walk around the back of their couch, and I'm sitting there, and I lean against their couch, and I'm like, whew, man. I was like, you know what, guys, on second thought, I don't feel so... And I crumpled like a bag of bricks, bro. Like, that was the way it was described. Was like, literally, if you've ever seen like a video of somebody getting knocked the fuck out, and like their neck cranes and their arms crumple and their knees bend, like that's what happened.
Mine was because I drink with my mom. Like, you know, me and my mom have a really good relationship like that. Mm-hmm. So like, I party with my mom sometimes. So I'll hang out and I'll drink, and my friends will come over too and drink too.
Yeah, I drink with my mom too.
Yeah, that's just what it is. You know, if you have a relationship like that, you do. But I'm drinking with my mom one night, and I forgot what the occasion was for, but I had a bunch of friends over. I think Josh was there, a couple other friends there, everybody was there. We were all drinking one night. And I'm going back and forth, and we're slamming it hard. I think I popped a bottle of champagne that night. Like, we're really going at it that night.
Yeah, y'all were just having a good time.
Yeah. And next thing before I even realize how quick I'm getting drunk, my homegirl starts throwing up over the fence, and I'm the gentleman like there, and I'm trying to take care of her, so I'm having her hair up, like I'm holding her hair, and then all of a sudden, while I'm holding her hair, I start throwing up on the other side of the fence right next to her, and I'm just fucking like.
So you're sitting here like.
Yeah, I'm holding her hair, and at the same time next to her throwing up too, and I had longish hair at the point too, but not to the point where I was throwing it up, but it was just fucking funny because that shit just started happening. And then I finally stop and I walk away because I'm trying to go clean up. And like, her friend took over and started holding her hair.
Yeah.
And I walk away, and as I'm walking away, my whole legs just give out, and I do like the superhero landing on the floor where I catch myself on one knee in my hand, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Everything slow down for a second, and my mom comes over. She's like, are you okay? She's like trying to get me up, give me some water. I'm like, I'm good. I just need to go wash up. So I go like stumble my way into the restroom and start washing my face off. And next thing I know, in the sink. Like a faucet. And apparently, I did not realize how much time had gone by. I was gone for an hour, almost an hour and a half. I come back, and Josh and them are like, dude, what happened to you? And I'm like...
You're like, I died.
I'm like, I was just in the restroom. What do you mean? I just left. He's like, dude, you've been gone for like an hour. And I'm like, there's no way I was throwing up for an hour.
That time gap.
I'm like, there's no way I was throwing up in the restroom for an hour. I'm like, did I pass out in the restroom? And I'm like, and I'm really like recalling it, and at this point, like, I'm still like good, but I'm not drunk like I was. And I look around, people had already left. My homegirl had already passed out in my brother's room that I was gonna steal for the night. I kicked my little brother out of his room that night. But yeah, like she had passed out there, and I was gonna go pass out too, and then we ended up moving like people around so that way everybody was a little bit more comfortable in the house.
Yeah.
Because like a bunch of people passed out there for those who did.
Oh, of course.
But like there's a whole like hour and a half gap in that time that just no one knows what happened to me. I just disappeared for like an hour and a half.
Nobody went to look for you?
Apparently not. And that's the concerning part, that I was just gone for an hour and a half and no one would go look for me.
Oh.